Hello, welcome back.
We are ready to talk about the Floral Felicity sampler pattern.
That's right.
So pattern book, it actually is a book, but it's just this one pattern.
The very beginning we thought, oh, this will be a pattern. Well, it is a pattern, but it ended up being a book.
Yes,
It's pretty big.
The best way to organize it was book form. So we wanted to walk you through it and the different parts and suggest that you take, a little 20 minutes, sit down and kind of just flip through it and become familiar with the different parts of the book.
Right.
So we will walk you through that and kind of some things to notice. So Jenny's going to be behind the camera. And all right, so here's our cover. This is we actually made two of these quilts. So this is one of them. And it's a really great, you get to see all of it. So we have pictures of it. One of the fun features of this quilt is that if you don't want to make one big quilt, you have the option of making 4 smaller quilts without doing anything different, except when you put the size of your border on. So that's the only thing you change. And instead of sewing them together, you keep them as 4 quadrants. So we think that's a fun feature. And Jenny, hop in on any of these if I forget something.
Okay.
The first page here is just an introduction to the pattern, kind of our thoughts about it, and we wanted to make a pattern with flowers for a really long time. This tells you a little bit about Jenny and I. We are sisters. And all of these in the book, you'll see these little circles with some information. This is kind of bonus information. And this talks about the quilt along, and you can find it on Facebook. So that tells you that. The fabric, we are using cottage cloth that we designed with this pattern in mind. So we developed the pattern and the fabric at the same time. This gives you an easy visual of what page these different blocks, the instructions live on. So that's what the numbers are. This shows you the tools you'll need, Wonder Curve and the Sew Square 4. Of course, here's your table of contents. And then your next page has just helpful things on pressing if you are a left-handed sewer, abbreviations, just all the good stuff. This is a fun, how am I going to get this whole quilt done? So this was just kind of our little thoughts about, it's a fun way to kind of read through the process. So that's there for your enjoyment. Yes, I am a nerdy teacher and I do weird things. So, cutting the fabric. So right here it talks about cutting the fabric, page 72. Instead of cutting the whole quilt at once, we are going to cut sections of the quilt or zones. You're going to cut 4 zones. There's 4 zones in each cutting. There are 3 different cutting instructions. Okay. This next part is how to sew a curve. There are a lot of curves, and we have an easy method for sewing a curve. We always put concave on the bottom, convex on top, and this just gives you those examples of how we sew a curve. So you cut, you sew, and then you press, and then our last step is we will square up our blocks. So this is a really simple approach to sewing curves. The Wonder Curve ruler has different colored lines on it, and this page shows you basic cutting. like it'll show in the pattern like, oh, you need this A and B shapes. And this shows you how to cut the A and B shapes. Notice that all of these over here, it's blue wording, you're using blue lines. Here you see orange text. We're using the orange lines. Black, bold text. So we're using black lines. So the Wonder Curve ruler has can they see that?
Yep.
It has the blue, orange, and black lines on it. And you will need this for this pattern. There are not templates in the book. So this is how you're cutting your shapes. This first section of the book talks about the different zones. So here it shows in the month of July, we are sewing zone 1. In August, we're sewing zone 2. September, zone 3. And so this will show you what we're making in that zone. And then over here, it walks you through, well, what pieces do I need to make zone 1? And this tells you, well, you need to make these 2 blocks, and then you need to make this stepping stones block. And it tells you the page number. So right here, you have your zones, and it shows you what we're making each month, 1 zone a month. And we have 11 zones of sewing. And then in the 12th month, or we'll be working on zone 12. And here we are we're sewing our zones together and completing our quilt top. And then adding borders. Here you might choose to do, remember we talked about 4 mini quilts? So here is your layout for your 4 mini quilts. Okay, anything else?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now, where is the information for those zones? It's back here in blocks. So blocks is page 23. It lists all the blocks here with their page number. And then here, you can see in zone 1, we are making a coneflower block. We also make a coneflower in zone 9. So here, if you don't pre-cut, and let's say you're just gonna do scrappy, you're just gonna pull from your stash, here is all of the cutting for pulling from your stash. Let's say you pre-cut. This helps you make sure that you grab the right pieces. So either way, this is helpful. This is just for 1 coneflower block. This shows you the shapes you cut. Zone 1 is here. Zone 9 is here.
And it's orange.
Oh, what does that mean? It means you're using the orange lines. And there's a box right here. It tells you again, use the orange lines. So there's all these ways we're trying to make sure that you're looking at the right marks. And then of course, shows you set it up. You're going to sew, you're going to square up. So again, this is where we talked about the sew square 4 and the little rotating cutting mat. So that can be really helpful. Okay, let's see, so one more page there. So this is assembly. This will, some half square triangles, and then you will lay it out and you will assemble your block. And then this is that zone 1 coloring. Here's your zone 9 coloring. And these graphic colors do match our fabric, cottage cloth. So if you're using cottage cloth, this will really help you in staying organized. Okay, then you turn the page and you have the iris block. This is also zone 1 and zone 9. And then here, again, what you need. Here, notice that the lettering is in blue. So now you have blue lines you're using on the Wonder Curve ruler. Okay. So now you start to get the same idea. This page here, how are you cutting this? This is that, go back and look at pages 6 and 7, and it tells you right here. This is that 6 and 7. So this is how you cut those shapes here. So how are we cutting this? Look at pages 6 and 7. All right, so you get the idea. We're going to work through each of the blocks. Oh, this is a good one to show. So this is the hare or the bunny block. And you can see here that we have orange and blue text. So you're using both orange and blue lines when you're cutting. We also have some straight piecing where we're not cutting any curves. You're just doing straight piecing, the stepping stones.
And I love that in this pink shaded area, it shows the actual fabric. So you can make,
very good.
So if you're using cottage cloth,
that is,
double check that
yes.
you're using the right fabric.
Oh, yes. Oh, and back here, yes, again.
Yep.
Oh, that's excellent. I forgot to mention that. Thank you. Okay. So again, we walk you through. Here are your B block. This one here, this is called Hollyhock. And notice here we have the black and the blue. So here's one of the blocks that uses the black lines and blue lines. Okay, so you'll just keep working through the book. Here are all your blocks you can go through. We think this sampler pattern has so many possibilities with making, let's say you just want to make the allium block. Well, you could make 10 of these and make a really fun table runner. So it's a really fun project that I think over time, I can see myself wanting to make these a lot.
It would be fun, just a whole quilt of one flower.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. There is a ladybug. We love ladybugs, so that's fantastic. And okay, so more hummingbird. Yes. And then flying geese. We have flying geese in the quilt. This is a really fun method for making 4 at a time. So if you've not tried this before, as long as you get the same finished size, you can use your method, or this is the way we like to sew them up. Okay, now back here, we're getting into the cutting. So we're going to cut 4 zones at a time. We're not cutting the whole quilt. That is so overwhelming. But this is an efficient use of fabric. So read through this. We'll talk more about this in our next video, cutting. So this tells you how we've laid it out for cutting, and then it shows you the fabric and what you're cutting. And so it's these pages right here. So this is your next cutting. So this one walks you through the first set. And then we have set 2 and set 3. And again, this shows cottage cloth. If you're not using cottage cloth, we suggest cutting a little piece of fabric and swatching it over this so that you can stay organized. What is your replacement? This page, all right, so this page came about because Jenny and I cut here when we each made a quilt a couple months ago, and we realized we needed more organization. So these cutting labels are available to download and print from our website on the Floral Felicity product page. And this will help you stay organized in cutting, and we will show this.
That's right.
And you can see the fabric Anyway, it will really help you stay organized. No wondering, oh, which fabric was that? It's included in that little section there. Okay, one final part to this book. Jenny and I both long arm. We made 2 of these quilts and we both long armed our own Floral Felicity quilt. And we custom quilt and we use rulers. So this shows some detail up close of that quilting process. It shows our Wonder Curvets. These are our long arm rulers that we manufacture. It matches the curve on the piecing, and this is what we use. And then lots of quilting details here for you. And I would say 90% of our quilt we did the same. Jenny quilted first, and I was like, oh, that's a great plan. And
she didn't have to think too hard.
I tweak it a little. Jenny's really good at certain things, and I'm not as confident, so I put something else in. So you'll see a little bit different, but they're 90% the same.
Yep.
Here's a great coloring page if you want to actually switch colors. Here is one you can. I could put that on the website. We could put this here.
Yep.
So we can put that on the website as a download that you can print.
Yep.
And then here's some places to take some notes in your pattern that you won't lose, because you know how you write notes down and then you lose them. And then here's an index of basic parts. And then here is some quilt along information for you or shops. And then a beautiful photo of our quilt. And then the back of the pattern also shows the tool you need, and if you're just purchasing fabric. And we show you the fabric we use, but we also give you a like it's black or plum or something like that. Okay, so that is the All About the Floral Felicity book.
Yep. Thank you, Helen, for going through all of that.
She's going to talk a lot on the next one. Okay, what's our next video?
We are going to cut. We're going to cut zones 1 through 4. So.
All right, so tune in. So
get ready.
Yeah, click
Get your
down.
fabric out.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.